Hey y'all, welcome to the live. Like we always say, I'm here for a good time, not a long time. Here for a good time, not a long time. Hey y'all, happy Friday. We made it to Friday. Hey guys. Hi. We made it to Friday. We made it to Friday. Hey y'all. Man, listen. I'm done working for the day. Ain't got nothing else to do, nothing else to talk about. Hey y'all. Happy Friday. Ding ding ding. We made it to the end of the week. Give yourself a round of applause for making it to the end of the week. Give yourself a pat on the back for making it to the end of the week. We made it. Okay? Listen. I just had to come on here and give TikTok their flowers because I have been trying to explore my options of going live on other platforms, and when I tell y'all, nothing is touching TikTok. Okay, we've been exploring for the past week, trying to figure out what platform we're gonna go to, and when I tell you nothing is touching TikTok, nothing is touching TikTok. I went over there to Bigo. I went to Instagram Live. I went to YouTube. I did a trial run over there on YouTube. And when I tell y'all nothing is touching TikTok, I'm going to miss TikTok. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to decide to, give us a little piece of it so we can keep it. But, yeah. Trash. Hey, Rosie. Hey, y'all. Thank y'all for tapping the screen, sharing it live. Listen, I'm gonna say this to y'all. Yesterday's live was so impactful for me. After I ended the live, y'all, I just busted out crying because I think I needed to release some stuff. And sometimes when you're releasing, you don't know that you're actually you're releasing emotions, but you're also releasing any hurt or any pain that you deal with because you're actually in the moment of dealing with those emotions. So when I ended the live yesterday, I just cried and cried. Cause sometimes you gotta be thankful, even when you feel like you don't have nothing to be thankful for. Okay. So yesterday I was just minding my little business, and I just when you have a lot on your mind and you overthink a lot, because I know I'm an overthinker, so I overthink everything. And sometimes when you become an overthinker, it's because you have a lot to do in so little time, so you think. And sometimes we overthink ourselves into places that we don't belong in, because your mind will take you places that you don't belong. And if you allow yourself to stay there, you become emotional. So yesterday I became emotional because I was overthinking about something that was out of my control. Sometimes you have to understand that anytime you are in positions where you are sitting idle, when you're sitting idle and you're not doing nothing and you're not staying busy, that's why you are being triggered by overthinking, because you're not staying busy and you're not keeping it moving. A lot of times our emotions overtake us because we're sitting down or sitting still way too long. And sometimes you have to understand the best way for you to handle your emotions is to not only handle them in the moment, but never handle them when you're idle. Because when you're sitting idle, you overthink about everything that has nothing to do with you. When you overthink about other people's actions or try to figure out why they did what they did to you, or you're trying to figure out why, you were in a position where they hurt your feelings or broke your heart, that's because you're sitting around and you're not keeping it moving. When you actually understand that part of keeping it moving, even through the hurt, you will understand where the healing starts. So, yesterday I gave myself some grace because I'm telling y'all, but I also had to tell myself that when you are dealing with those emotions, you have to realize that sometimes you are in a space of trying to get yourself back 100%. And sometimes we don't give ourselves enough grace in those moments because we're so busy trying to give everybody else grace that's around us, but we never really give it back to ourselves. So dealing with those emotions and causing yourself to go into an overdrive, you're causing yourself to also be stagnant, and you're staying still. Those emotions and causing yourself to go into an overdrive, you're causing yourself to also be stagnant, and you're staying still. I hate when people do that. Okay, because the more you stay still, the more your mind is going to wander. So one thing I had to understand is if my mind is wondering, guess what? I'm not doing anything that I'm supposed to be doing that's attached to my purpose. I'm not moving forward. I'm staying still, because the more questions that you ask, the more and the longer it's going to take you to get to where you need to be. Some of y'all don't realize, like, staying in the same spaces because you're asking too many questions. When you get ready to move on and you start to progress in life, that's because you're keeping it moving. You're not asking questions. You're not sitting around wondering why, trying to figure out why they did what they did, or why they broke your heart, or why they made you feel some type of way. It's because you have learned how to keep it moving through the hurt, through the pain, through everything else that doesn't concern you, right? So anyway, back to what I was saying. I was all over the place, but I need y'all to follow me. So I cried yesterday, and I was sitting around my house, and I'm like, what, God, what is it that you want me to do? Like, what is it that you need me to do in this season of my life? Because, for me to be able to pour into other people, I feel like I got to be 100%, within myself. And I got my light bulb moment. It's not that you need to be 100% physically, it's that you need to be 100% spiritually. And sometimes, even in your brokenness, you need to be doing the work of feeding your spirit. Even if you are in a space where you're not physically 100%, your spirit always needs to be on 100, no matter where you are, no matter how you feel. And sometimes people do not understand that. You have to learn how to feed your spirit before you feed anything else. When I understood that part, I realized that the only reason why I was left behind and I wasn't getting the blessings that I deserve was because I was allowing my spirit to be starved. I was allowing myself to be, in a space where I wasn't spiritually intact with my purpose. And sometimes we get so lost because we're carrying all of these things that has nothing to do with our purpose, and it has nothing to do with who we are becoming. So sometimes you have to understand, in order for you to progress, in order for you to elevate, you have to be willing to put in the work of feeding your spirit first. That's the number one thing that you have to understand. In order for you to truly heal and get to where you're trying to be, feeding your spirit is number one. Sometimes people don't realize that, because you can't walk around with a broken spirit and all of your emotions are intact. You can be emotionally intelligent all day long, but you also have to be spiritually intelligent in order for you to understand those emotions. See, I need for y'all to follow me, because some of y'all be getting lost, and I need for some of y'all to follow me. When you are in a space where you're not spiritually intact or you're not spiritually intelligent, it causes you to question everything about who you are and everything about your emotions. So sometimes you have to realize, like, it's not what you are doing wrong. It's what you're not doing at all. Sometimes you got to understand, when you get distracted and you got all of this other stuff going on, and you're just so focused on paying the bills, and you're so focused on the job so you can get what you need to get to provide for your family and do all of these other things. When you become distracted, that means you're not listening clearly, and your spirit is not being fed properly. So sometimes we don't understand, like, you're in a space now where you don't have room for distractions. Like me, I don't have room for distraction. So it's certain things that I cannot do, certain things I cannot entertain, and certain thoughts that I have to let go and set myself free from. Some of y'all don't understand it, but that's the truth. In order for you to value who you are and where you have been, you have to set yourself free, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. Sometimes you got to understand that part right there. You cannot elevate and go nowhere else than where you are if your spirit is not up to par. Let me say that again. You cannot elevate and move forward if your spirit is not up to par. Get your spirit right first. This is why I tell folks all the time, you got to be careful with what you do, how you treat people, how you love people. But if you're always trying to change certain things about how you give and how you love, that's not the assignment. Through everything that you have gone through in your life, the assignment is for you to stay the same and elevate spiritually. Sometimes folks don't understand it because every level, you're going to unlock a new devil. So what that means is you cannot let your past define who you are supposed to be. A lot of y'all don't understand it, but that's the truth. Don't let nobody change you because they didn't know who they were. A lot of times I was suffering because I didn't realize that I was hurting because I allowed people who didn't know who they were to make me question who I was. So I started to change. I started to feel like I needed a cold heart in order for me to get to where I was going. But really and truly, no, you don't. You don't need a cold heart to get to where you're going. Stay who you are and stay true to you. And understand that sometimes people aren't going to understand you, which is why they hurt you. See, I was in situations where I was always allowing myself to be hurt constantly because I was always wanting people to see me for who I was. I always wanted people to understand me. I always wanted people to love me. But really and truly, everything that I was looking for in other people was everything that I needed to give back to myself first. When we talked about leading by examples yesterday, that's what I meant. You have to learn how to lead by examples in your life in order for you to understand that when you give it back to yourself first, it's not a high expectation, it's a requirement because you give it back to yourself first. So anytime somebody come into your life, you're not taking anything less. So this is why I need for y'all to understand, like, when you going up this ladder of life and you're climbing, I want you to understand you're going to fumble a couple times and that's okay. You're going to make some mistakes and that's okay. But what I need you to do is pay attention to your pace. You don't have to move fast because everybody else moving fast. You don't have to move fast because other folks want you to do this and want you to do that. You don't have to move fast because your family wants you to do certain things. Move at your pace, and I guarantee you a lot of times you will fulfill a lot more in your life if you just stay on track and stay a steady pace. When I understood that, a lot of stuff that I was doing, the only reason I was fumbling and losing was because I was moving too fast. I wasn't really allowing myself to stay steady because I felt like I was behind. A lot of us feel like we're behind because we allow social media to tell us where we need to be instead of where we are in reality. A lot of times we don't never focus on that part. You are where you need to be. It's just all about you staying steady and on pace and on track. That's the part I be trying to tell people all the time. It's not that you're behind. It's not that you ain't doing what you're supposed to do. It's because you're not staying focused and you're not staying the course. Sometimes you have to realize that, baby. You got to stay the course in order for you to fulfill more in your life. Because the faster that you move, sometimes you have to understand you're going to miss some of the signs of life. Because even salt look like sugar. If you're moving too fast and don't read the label, sometimes you can mess up the recipe. Let me say that again. Even salt looks like sugar. And if you're moving too fast sometimes you're going to mess up the recipe. Some of y'all don't realize that, but that's the truth. Pay attention. Look around and take your time and understand you have to look at the signs of life that are given to you in order for you to truly win. Because see, this season we gonna win. This season we not staying behind or getting caught up in the hype. The hype of life is you actually doing what you need to do. The hype of life is you actually walking in your purpose and understanding who you are. The hype of life is you actually living in the reality of where you are. Sometimes you got to understand that is the hype. When I tell people all the time, I don't believe in the hype of social media and society. I live in the hype of what I'm creating for myself. Because sometimes you have to realize the biggest cheerleader on your team should be you. You should be cheering for yourself even when other people aren't. And sometimes you have to get to that space of not needing validation from the outside. Sometimes when you have this ability to, love on people, you expect people to be who you are. Everybody not going to be you. Everybody not going to accept you. Sometimes you have to realize that part right there. Everybody's not going to be who I am and everybody's not going to accept me. So the best thing that I can do for myself in order for me to really be who I need to be is accepting me for me first. I got to accept myself first. I can't worry about other folks over here because some folks not going to understand who I am. I can't worry about the folks over here because sometimes my family not even going to accept who I am. Sometimes you have to swallow that hard pill and understand like that's the reality of the life that we're living. Some of y'all call yourself chosen, but you're not really walking in it. I need for some of y'all to walk in it. You call yourself being chosen, but really and truly being chosen is very hard. It's not easy. I tell folks that all the time. If you really chosen and you really talk and you actually walk the walk, then you should know that it's not going to be easy. It's going to be some hard decisions that you're going to have to make in 2025. It's going to be some hard core emotions that you're going to have to deal with in 2025. It's not easy. I tell folks that all the time. Like, even when you are at your lowest, you still somehow got to walk in your purpose. Still. Even when you don't want to, or even when you feel like you have nothing left. I had to give myself a pep talk the other day because I felt like I was so behind or I had so much to do because it was so much on my mind. But I was allowing myself to sit idle, and that's why I was always being attacked. See, some of y'all don't realize the longer you sit, the longer you allow yourself to be attacked by demonic spirits. When you're moving around, the devil can't keep up. Some of y'all got to understand that. That's the truth. When you're moving around, the devil cannot keep up. The only reason why you're being attacked right now is because you're sitting still too long. And every time the devil circles the block on you, you're sitting in the same spot. But if you move around and you start to move your feet, you will understand that you won't lose your seat in the kingdom. Sometimes when you are sitting around too long, that's why you're always being attacked right there. That's why you're always feeling like you're drained. That's why it feels like you're always behind. Because you are. Move your feet. Give everything a try and stop living in fear. My favorite acronym for fear is basically false evidence appearing real. So when you actually live by that acronym, you will realize that fear shouldn't even be in your vocabulary. I don't fear anything. Because everything that's placed in my spirit, God has already answered, because he wouldn't have gave it to my spirit if he felt like it was something that I couldn't fulfill. One thing I had to understand was that part right there. Anytime something dropped in my spirit, it was already an answer somewhere. I just had to move around and go find it. So some of y'all that's scared to do certain things, or you get a certain idea that dropped in your spirit, or it's something that comes upon you. It doesn't come upon you for no reason. It comes upon you because that's something that God is trying to get you to push and find. Sometimes the answer is somewhere closer than where you think. But the reason that you cannot find it is because you're staying still. Move around. That's one thing I had to tell myself. As soon as I started to move around, I got more answers. Some of the answers I've been looking for a long time. But I just thought that they were just supposed to fall in my lap because I was chosen. It doesn't work like that. Faith without works is dead. So in order for you to understand that part that goes in every aspect, in every area of your life, you got to move around and put in the work in order for you to find the answer that you need. Because what I didn't understand, sometimes we don't understand as people and as humans and as chosen people, that the answers that we receive sometimes don't be the answer that we are looking for in the moments that we're looking for it. So what that means is you might be looking for an answer right now, but you might not get the answer until you climb a new chapter or find a new chapter of your life and discover a new chapter of your life. Sometimes the answers that we look for as humans, we don't even be ready for the answer, for real. I'm just go ahead and give it to you how it is. You don't even be ready for the answer. Some of y'all looking for answers that you're not even ready for. You want to know why? Because you spiritually can't handle it. Because your spirit has not matured enough to accept what the answer is. That's it. So some of y'all sitting around thinking that the answer just gonna fall in your lap. It's not gonna fall in your lap. Move around and I guarantee you will get the answer when you actually spiritually mature. Some of y'all not spiritually mature. You trying to figure out why you had all of these issues as a child and you were suffering through childhood trauma, and you're trying to figure out why they didn't love you properly, or why they couldn't give you the love that you deserved and desired, or why they hurt you and broke your heart. The reason is because sometimes the answers that you're looking for is not in this chapter of your book. That's it. The narrative ain't always going to give you the answer at the end. So what I had to understand was some chapters in my book left a cliffhanger. So sometimes the answers that I was looking for might not have came to me in that moment because I wasn't ready for it. I wasn't prepared. I had to go through a little bit more stuff in order for me to accept what the answer was going to be. Some of y'all got to understand that. Baby, you got to go through a little bit more stuff to accept what that answer is going to be. So that means you spiritually got to mature. You mentally got to mature to accept it for what it is. How many of y'all can sit around and you think about all of the answers that you have received after the tragedy? After something has happened to you, you didn't get the answer until years later. You want to know why? You want to know why God did that to you? Because you had to go through a little bit more stuff in order for you to accept what the answer was. It took me 4 years after my narcissistic relationship to get answers that I was seeking in the relationship. You want to know why? I had to go through a little bit more stuff. I had to feel a little bit more emotion. And I had to mature spiritually in order for me to accept what the answer was. And as soon as I got the answer, guess what? I wasn't even heard about it because I was ain't able to handle it. Sometimes he don't give you anything that you can't handle, right? So sometimes you got to look at it as in both ways. You know what I'm saying? You got to look at it good and you got to look at it bad. He never gave me anything that I couldn't handle. And that includes answers to questions that I was sitting around trying to get an answer for. Don't waste your life expecting to get answers right then, because you're not going to get them. So a lot of y'all that's holding up your process or stalling, trying to figure out if you're going to get an answer or not, baby, you wasting time. Sometimes, let me tell you something. Sometimes the answers are all the way on the other side of the world. But you got to get there first. So that means you got to go through a little bit more stuff. You got to go through a couple more people. You got to get your heart broke again, probably. You got to go through some stuff. Even if it may seem traumatic, you might receive the answer that you need if you put in the work and start moving your feet. Start moving around. What you waiting on? You got to get there first. Sometimes we be waiting like a sitting duck and just waiting for things to happen. Nothing is going to happen to you or happen for you while you're sitting down. Move your feet. It's not going to hurt till you try it. Sometimes it might not even hurt. Sometimes you actually doing something outside of your comfort zone might give you the answer that you need. You want to know why? Because now you understand that you don't have to live in fear anymore. I had to understand that too. I'm sitting around living in fear because I'm scared of doing something outside of the normal for me. And here I am doing something that's outside of the normal, and I have been blessed tremendously because I didn't moved around, and I'm not sitting around waiting on anything to come. I go find it. It doesn't come find me. So when some of y'all ask, I'm trying to figure out what my purpose is. I don't know what my purpose is. Baby, you got to go find it. It's not going to come and find you. Come on, somebody. You got to go find it. It's not going to come and find you. The way you find your purpose is when you try. Some of y'all don't understand, but that's the truth. Some of y'all asking questions right now. God, what is it that you want me to do? The things that you don't want to do are the things that you're supposed to be doing. Because I used to try to convince myself I'm not a people person. I can't get on live and talk to people that I don't even know from a can of paint, or I can't start a podcast and pour into people because these people not even going to hear what I got to say. I was giving myself all these excuses to not do anything that was a part of my purpose. So guess what? I was actually putting myself in a place of being left behind. So as soon as I started walking in my purpose, I started to play catch up. I started to get the blessings. I got the job that gave me the free time to do what aligned with my purpose. I did all of that stuff because I actually put in the work. Sometimes you have to realize you are in the right place at the right time, but you actually have to believe that you're in the right place at the right time. It's no such thing as being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Some of us have got to get that out of our heads. Some of y'all have really put yourselves in this position of feeling like you're behind. Like I said, you feel like you're not doing enough. You feel like you got so much more to accomplish, and that's okay for you to want more. But in order for you to get more, you got to move around to get it. One thing I had to understand was that part right there. I got to move around to get it. I can't just sit around expecting for things to just happen out of nowhere or happen overnight. Yeah, it could happen, but sometimes it might come a little quicker if you put in the work. See, this is why it's important for y'all to be around people that pour into you. When I realized I didn't have enough people in my life that actually poured into me, that's when I had to learn how to change my atmosphere. I had to change my circle of people because I had to understand that within me, as I'm climbing the ladder, that means my company has to change, because everybody that you keep in your company aren't going to understand the level that you're on. So sometimes you got to realize you got to be willing enough to leave things behind and also leave people behind. Yeah, that's well and true. But you got to be willing to allow yourself to make the change. That's it. When you realize that part, you'll realize that a lot of stuff in your life has to change in order for you to level up. Because we leveling up in 2025. I don't care what nobody say. Everybody be like, that's so cliche. No, 2025 is a year of the level up. We ain't doing nothing. We not doing nothing like we did last year. It's not going to be a repeat cycle. Everything in 2025 is going to be a level up and brand new. A level up and brand new. Some of y'all probably hear it all the time, but we're going to go ahead and claim it in this live today. Because some of y'all really don't understand. It just gets that deep. When you start to believe it, you start to walk in it. When you start to talk it, you listen. Your conversations are different. Sometimes you got to understand you got to walk it like you talk it. If you talking about it, you got to walk like you know what you're talking about. Sometimes you got to understand, like I be trying to be okay with the simple fact that if I talk about doing certain things, I got to learn how to walk in the confidence of knowing that it's going to be accomplished. Some of y'all got big visions for your life, but you're scared to walk towards the vision. That's crazy. Make it make sense. Some of y'all make the vision boards, but you're scared to actually walk towards What's on the vision board? You got to walk it like you talking. You talking about it, but how long is it going to take you to actually accomplish it? How long is it going to take you to actually try it? Sometimes you got to understand that part. Like, we get so caught up in the hype, but the hype is you actually doing the work. That's what a hype is. So when folks ask the question, I believe in the hype, and social media is this and social media is that. Yeah, that's cool, but you also have to live in the reality, and that's where the hype begins, right there. Because now you understand that I got to do something different in my life in order for me to be who I need to be and be where I want to be. That's it. I be trying to tell people it's a little hard sometimes. Because when you allow your spirit to be used and you allow yourself to be used as a vessel, and when people ask me, how do you get on and you just go live? Sometimes, listen, your life it don't have a script. It's no such thing. When you actually do it off script, that's how you know you actually walking in your purpose. So when people ask me, do you have topics that you talk about? Absolutely not. I just go. Because sometimes I got to understand my purpose is 24/7. It's no such thing as a certain time. That's why when people ask me when I come live, I don't know. Whenever God tell me to go live and I get on live and you in the room, that means you at the right place at the right time. Because there's no telling what I'm going to say. No telling what I'm going to do. It's no telling. Sometimes you got to understand, like, that's the same way that he's trying to use you. There's no telling what he's going to put or instill in you. Sometimes we be running away from the simple fact that we are gifted. Some of y'all are gifted that's on this live, and I'm talking to you because I need for y'all to understand. You have a gift. Whether you believe it or like it or not, it's something about you that's gifted. That's why people are always attaching themselves to you. You don't realize it, but that's the truth. You be so busy trying to run away from people because you're scared of getting hurt again or scared of encountering trauma again. But sometimes being attached to people is a part of your purpose. So when you realize that and you stop running from it, you're going to accept your purpose for what it truly is. Sometimes he be trying to use you and you don't even see it. Sometimes he be trying to pour into you so you can give it out to people who really deserve it. Sometimes you be hoarding your thoughts and your emotions because you know that the people that's around you and the people that's closest to you not going to accept it. But take your talents elsewhere where people celebrate you for everything that you pour out. And I guarantee you will feel better about your life. What I had to understand was it was something on the inside of me that I was holding in, and I was being poisoned. And I didn't realize that that's the reason why I was always drained. I had people around me that I wanted to see. I wanted them to see me so bad. My family, I wanted them to see me so bad. So I kept a lot of stuff instilled. And I was poisoning myself. Because the more I was holding on to everything that God was giving me, the more I was I was holding on to things I was supposed to pour out. I was poisoning myself. Because when he created you, he created you bottomless. So what that means is you don't have a cap on how much you can receive. Some of y'all got to understand that's what that means by when we say you're favored. It's bottomless. You don't have a cap on how much you can receive. So when you hold on to it and you place the cap on it, that's why it's always draining. That's why it's always hurtful. That's why it's always disappointing. Because here you are putting a cap on everything that God has for you. Because you're holding it in. Because you're scared that the people around you aren't going to be satisfied. I know, because I was living in it. I was scared. I didn't know what I was going to do. And here I am. I took the cap off. So now I'm pouring out. And God is pouring in. See, some of y'all don't understand that because you ain't really gave it a thought. But you have allowed yourself to put a cap on it. because you're scared what other people are going to say. You're scared of what other people are going to feel. You're scared about other people's opinion about you. Sometimes you have to realize you got to learn how to let it go. Set yourself free. Take the cap off. And allow yourself to be used 24/7 the way that you should. And that's when you're going to start to walk in your purpose. Some of y'all are so busy trying to play it safe. Playing it safe is over with. You did that last year. Now you got to try a different approach. Now you got to go big or go home. Sometimes you got to realize that part, like, yeah, I got to go big or go home. Whichever one I got to do, God. But I'm going to choose to go big because I don't know what's on the other side of this that you need me to do. I don't know how big the blessing is going to be. So I'm going to choose to go big in 2025 because I'm not going home. That's not even an option. Some of y'all give yourself so many ultimatums just so you can have an excuse not to do it. But I want y'all to understand something. Each and every last person that's on this live. The more excuses that you make, the longer it's going to take. Let me say that again. The more excuses that you make, the longer it's going to take. So when you ask the question, how do I find my purpose? You're really holding up the process by asking too many questions. Sometimes asking questions allows procrastination to live on the inside of you. Because now you're asking questions to stall the process. And when you realize that, you will realize that a lot of stuff that you do or a lot of stuff that you're used to, it's not really what you're supposed to be doing. You're just comfortable with doing it because you can control the narrative. What we talked about yesterday, we talked about controlling the narrative. So now that you are in control of the narrative, you don't want to do anything different because now it's going to be outside of your control. When we talk about walking in faith, that's just mean that you're out of control of certain things of your life. And you're letting him guide you and lead you 100%. We always talk about we walk on faith, but I had to realize something. I was a hypocrite because I didn't realize that the whole time I'm telling myself that I'm walking in faith, and I never was. You want to know why? Because I was living in fear. We always talk about walking in faith, right? I used to tell myself that all the time. How am I walking in faith? And I'm always questioning where I am or questioning where I need to be. Sometimes you got to understand that part. Like when you're in a space of your life where you're always questioning something, you're allowing yourself to live in fear and not actually walk in the faith that you say you have. See, I can't just say I got the faith on Sunday when I go to church. I can't say I just got the faith when something good is happening for me and everything is working in my favor. I actually got to have the faith through the good, bad, and the ugly. You understand? Sometimes you got to understand that part too. We get so caught up in praising and celebrating the good because we know that the favor is on our side. But as soon as something goes bad, now all of a sudden the faith and everything else then went out the window. No, you got to understand that walking by faith and not by sight is a true thing. Because even in the midst of the storm, somehow, some way, there's a blessing in that for you. It's just up to you to pay attention to it. I told y'all a couple months ago, there's beauty in the disaster. It's just up to you to see the beauty. There's beauty in a hurricane and a tornado. Because sometimes when things are being wiped away, he's giving us a clean slate. And it's allowing us to build a new foundation even stronger than it was before. See, that's the beauty that I was talking about in the disaster. But you have to understand that in order for that to be a part of your narrative, you have to accept that for what it is. It's beauty in every disaster. Every disaster. And it's time for you to live in that. Some of us feel like we're suffering. And what I tell y'all the other day, it's not that you're suffering, it's actually that sometimes that suffering can be an illusion to people who don't belong in your life. Because even when you're at your lowest, you're still at your highest in the spirit. What I had to understand was that part right there. I was going through a breakup and I didn't realize I was so broken. And I'm going to get deep with y'all real quick. So I need for y'all to just follow me. I was suffering because, sometimes when God separates you and detaches you from situations and people that you love, sometimes you feel the breakup before it actually happens. So sometimes when I was in the moment of wanting to walk away from a person that I knew didn't mean me well, I was allowing myself to feel it emotionally, which is why I was always caught up in the emotion part of it. But what I had to understand was my emotions were actually preparing me for the detachment, because I was already grieving something that was still there. So a lot of times you don't even realize that when you are going through your emotions, and once it gets towards the end of the wire and you're feeling those emotions, that's just preparation. I was being prepared and I didn't even know. Not only was I being prepared, but he created that illusion of my brokenness and allowing a person that didn't belong in my life to see my emotions go haywire, because that was the actual blessing. He allowed that person to walk away from me because I no longer benefited them because of my brokenness. That was the illusion, but it was also the beauty in it. Because what I didn't understand was, to them I look broken, but to God I look like I'm whole. Because now that I'm grieving and I'm getting over something in the moment of it happening, it was beauty in that. Because now that I felt it before it actually happened, I had to realize that there was a blessing. So I'm not going to sit over here for a long amount of time, a long period of time, and hurt and wonder about who I was. That didn't come till after. Because now I can focus and I can hear clearly because I don't have the distraction anymore. Now I don't have that relationship distracting me anymore. I don't have that person distracting me from the blessings anymore. Because the detachment, it was something beautiful in that. Because that allowed me to create a new avenue for who I was becoming. So a lot of folks don't understand, baby, it's a beauty in that detachment. When you're breaking free from something and you're feeling those emotions, there's beauty in that. And I need for you to accept that for what it is. Sometimes you have to realize that the beauty is always something that's supposed to be in your favor. When you understand that part, you will understand that a lot of stuff that you have been separated from, a lot of people that you've been separated from, was beauty for you. Because you don't realize that helped you on the journey of self-discovery. I never realized it, but that's the truth. I started to discover myself after the disaster because I got a clean slate and I was able to start all the way over. So now my foundation was stronger than it was before. Now my foundation is not shaky. Now I don't have a lot of loose screws. You understand what I'm saying? Now I can build the foundation how it's supposed to be built, because now I can actually focus and hear him clearly. Some of y'all don't understand, but that's the truth. He's giving you a clean slate, but he's also detaching you from things and people that's not giving you the tools that are required to build the foundation. That's it. I had to understand that part. I had to detach from people. Because they weren't giving me the tools that I required in order for me to build my strong foundation. So here we are. Stronger than I was before. Here we are with a testimony Here we are, going higher and elevating, because now I understand what it means by being detached, but also grieving something in the moment. You ain't always got to lose things in order for you to grieve it, because sometimes you feel it before it's actually gone, because you feel it coming to an end. You feel that friendship coming to an end. You feel that relationship coming to an end. You feel that connection with your family member coming to an end. You already feel it. So you've already been grieving it and you don't even know. So now I'm in a space where I have accepted the fact that sometimes me being powerful is me actually accepting that I can grieve things before I actually fully let it go. So now I'm stronger than ever. Now I'm stronger than ever. Because now I understand. So when people talk about, Akira, how do you survive hurt and how do you survive trauma? You know what I say? You got to learn and I'm going to say this to y'all because I had to tell myself this. How do you survive hurt? And how do you survive trauma? You got to learn how to survive with it so you can overcome it. Because if you always try to push it out your life, you're not going to get the answers or get everything that you need from it. Survive with it. Don't survive without it. Because if you survive without it, right, you're not getting everything that you need from it. Sometimes you got to be in the moment of it and understand that everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Be in the moment and accept it for what it is. It ain't nothing wrong with just living in the moment. I told somebody the other day, I said, you know what? I have accepted to live in the moment of everything. Because living in the moment has gotten me so far and I have accomplished so much because I wasn't busy trying to hurry up and move ahead. So now this has helped me keep the pace of life. It's living in the moment. I don't try to control nothing now. I don't try to control nothing because me living in the moment, I have accomplished so much. Now I can look back at the things that I wanted to do and things that I needed to do. And I can say, well, that's checked off the list because now that I'm on a steady pace and I wasn't, dibbling and dabbling with the demonic spirits of trying to move ahead and move so fast, I allowed myself to live in the moment and stay out of control. So what that means is I took my hands off of it because now I understand what it means to actually walk in the faith and actually accept it for what it is. So sometimes you got to understand that part too. You got to accept that part too. When you're so busy trying to be in control, you're actually out of control. That's why your life go haywire, and that's why you be all over the place mentally and physically, because you're always trying to control stuff, always trying to put your hands on it. I told somebody the other day, I said, once you pray about it, you put it down. Some of us are like, how our mothers used to treat us back in the day, or how our grandmamas used to treat us back in the day. When you walk past something that's on the floor, pick it up. Some of y'all treat God like that because every time you pray for it and lay it at his feet, every time you walk through and see it, you feel like you got to pick it up. Leave it there. When you prayed about it and left it at his feet, there's nothing else for you to talk about and there's nothing else for you to touch. Leave it right there. Sometimes you got to realize that you got to pick and choose when it's time to have OCD. I told somebody that the other day. I said, you know what? You have prayed for this one exact thing, and every time you walk by and you see God is not doing nothing about it, you feel like you got to take control of it again. No, leave it right there. Leave it there. Leave it there. Ain't no sense of you trying to go back and pick it up, try to figure out no. He's going to pick it up when he's ready. He's going to pick it up when he's actually preparing your answer so he can deliver your answer. One thing I had to tell myself was, you know what? It's not that God didn't hear me clearly, or it's not that he was ignoring me. It's that he was preparing my answer when I was praying about it. See, some of y'all don't realize that sometimes it takes a little preparation for your answer in order for you to actually receive it. Just like you order something from Amazon, if you order a whole package or you order several things, you don't want everything to be broken up into order. So sometimes it takes a little time for them to fulfill the order to put it in one box for it to be delivered to your front doorstep. Hello, somebody. You don't give it time. Sometimes you have to understand that part right there. You know how deep that is? When I had to convince myself that and stop being so frustrated. That's what I was going to say. Stop being so frustrated about things that you cannot control. Every time you pray about something, you got to leave it right there. Because you never know when he's preparing the package to be delivered. So that's why I say all the time, I'm in a season where I'm understanding. It might not happen right then, but I know it's going to happen eventually. Because now I understand what it means that when I pray for something, he's somewhere preparing my answer. And sometimes my answer can get an expedited delivery if I just be more patient, because now that all of the items are in the package, come on now I can get the package overnight. But some of y'all don't accept the fact because you always trying to hurry up and get something done, not even to satisfy you, but to satisfy other people. Now I'm about to step on some of y'all toes because I don't think y'all understand. Some of y'all try to hurry up and accomplish things for other people instead of you. And that's why you're always feeling like you're not enough. That's why you're always feeling like you're behind. Because now you need to understand that other people on this journey doesn't matter. Nobody matters but you. And what that means is you got to stop putting yourself in the position of thinking that if I accomplish this or get this done quickly, then maybe they'll accept me faster. No, that's not how it's going to work. No matter if you accomplish it or not, I'm sorry to break it to you, they're still not going to accept you. They're still not going to understand you. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's the truth. And when you realize that part, you will realize that a lot of stuff in your life, you have been doing it so wrong for so long, you ain't even gave yourself enough grace. Sorry to break it to you like that, but that's the truth. So here we are on TikTok looking at each other, giving it to each other real raw and uncut, because that's the only way I know how to give it to you, and that's the only way I can deliver it. I need for you to understand that it's going to take a little time, and I need for you to be patient. Everything is not going to happen overnight. But when you pray about it, that means you need to stop putting your hands on it. When you pray about your children, stop putting your hands on it. When you pray about that job, stop putting your hands on it. Shall I keep going? Shall I keep going? Some of y'all know exactly where this is going. I don't got to keep it going. I said what I said. Take your hands off of it. I be trying to tell people all the time, when you just live in the moment and you understand, nothing is going to be perfect. You will understand that a lot of stuff that you have allowed yourself to try to control was the reason why you were wasting time. I was wasting so much time trying to be in control, trying to get people to see me, trying to satisfy everybody else. And now I'm walking on my own journey that I belong on. So when people ask me the question, Akira, how do you cope and how do you deal with people not accepting you? Easy. You want to know how I deal with it and how I cope with it? Keep doing me. That's how. I walk a straight line and I focus and I stay on track with the simple fact of knowing that it's something bigger at the end of this for all of me. And I can't get distracted by nobody and their antics because this season is personal. This season is personal. This chapter of your book is personal. And I need for some of y'all to understand, in order for you to see the signs clearly, you got to move some things out of your way. And that includes people. That includes people. So when people ask me, how do I feel? Or when people ask me, you know, you have come so far, and I talked about this to somebody the other day. I said, you know, when you start to see your glow, that's how you know you're on the right track. But a lot of times, you know, we be in positions because people always tell us and pour into us and tell us how we're glowing, or tell us that we carry a light, and we never believe it. But the reason that you don't believe it is because you don't see it within yourself. So when I started to see my own light and I started to see my own glow up, that's when I started to believe, and that's when I knew that I was doing something right for a change. Because now the focus is on me. And now I understand the importance of what it means to be in a space where I fully accept who I am, but I know I got a lot of work to do, and by all means necessary, I'm going to do it. Because I know that the person that I am now, in the future, it's going to be 10 times than where I am right now. I got a lot of stuff to do. Sometimes you got to realize you got to turn it up a notch, baby. Turn it up a notch. It's okay. Sometimes the confidence is actually you understanding who you are, and you actually walking in it without needing the validation. You don't need the validation from nobody. You are who you are, and you know it. Sometimes we cause ourselves to suffer because we're looking for answers and we're looking for validation in folks, like I told y'all yesterday, who don't even know who they are themselves. Don't even know who they are themselves. I control this narrative over here. So when people ask me, well, why you doing this and why you doing that? Because God ain't told me to stop doing it. Some people probably be like, why you still going live? Because you upload your content and you shadow ban, and you so what? They don't stop me from going live and giving out the message. So I'm going to still keep doing what I need to do. Because I had to understand that my purpose was bigger than me. Some of y'all have to understand your purpose is way bigger than who you are right now. And who you ever going to be. Your purpose is going to be way bigger than you. And at every time. And when you realize that, you'll realize that a lot of stuff about your life has been out of your control. But the only reason why it hurt you so bad, or why it put you in a position where it made you carry all of these emotions, was because you were trying to control it. Because you were trying to figure it out and wrap your head around why this person did you a certain way, or why they didn't love you the way that you loved them. And this is why we're always stuck in these spaces and in these areas, because we don't allow ourselves to accept it for what it is. Just saying. You don't accept it enough. So that's why you're always suffering. Listen, I know some of y'all be want to fight me after these lives, because y'all be feeling like I be reading y'all. But when I tell y'all, when you an empath and you can feel everything that's in the room, and you can feel every person that's in the room, and you can pick up on the emotions, and you can pick up on certain things, let me tell you something. I know some of y'all be wanting to fight me, but guess what? It's out of love, I'm telling you. It's out of love. I be trying to tell folks all the time, why do you think people come in here and sit in my room? Because they need to hear something. Because actually sometimes people be praying about stuff and then they come across me on a For You page and they get all the confirmation. So sometimes you got to realize, like, you be at the right place at the right time, because sometimes your answer is going to come from a stranger that you don't even know, from a can of paint. I be trying to tell folks all the time, this is why I love to go live. This is why. Because I never know when God is trying to use me, and I never know when I'm walking in my purpose fully, because I don't seek the validation for walking in my purpose anymore. Now I actually just do it, and I actually just let it be what it is. That's how you know you're doing it right. That's how you know it's something greater is on the way for you. Because you don't do it, you do it without validation. So I know some of y'all be so mad at me, but I do it out of love. I love y'all. I wouldn't tell you nothing wrong. And sometimes, let me tell you something. Sometimes you need to hear it just like that, real raw and uncut, because sometimes you have too many people, like I told y'all yesterday, you have too many people in your life sugarcoating things with you. And sometimes you need to hear it without the sugar. You got too many people in your life walking on eggshells. Because they be so busy trying. They be trying so hard. Excuse me. Because they see the favor all over your life. And some folks don't want to be on your bad side because they want to have their hand out when your blessings get delivered to your front door. See, that's why people don't tell you when you're wrong. That's why people still coddle your feelings. That's why, listen, let me tell you something. That's why you always in a space of feeling drained or feeling, you know what I'm saying, out of control. Because you have too many people around you with their hand like this. Because they feel like they are supposed to get everything that you get. Because they're trying to sugarcoat everything that's about your life, or everything that you get an opinion about. That's why I tell folks all the time, stop telling everybody what you're going through, because everybody's not going to keep it real with you. Let me say it again. Stop telling everybody what you're going through, because everybody's not going to keep it real with you. I had to realize something about myself. Every time something bad happened to me, I used to always have to call somebody to get somebody else's opinion, when really and truly the opinion and the validation was already within me. I had already had the answer. I was looking for the answers in the wrong people. You want to know why? Because they were sugarcoating stuff too much. Some folks will tell you that you're right when you are wrong. Some folks will tell you that everything that you want to hear, because they know you got a blessing that's on the way, and they want to be a part of it. Some folks not going to keep it real with you, because some folks want a piece of the pie when it's done. What I had to understand was, some folks just see the blessing on the way, and that's why some people stay attached to you, but they really don't give it to you the way that you need it, because they're scared that they're going to be on your bad side when the blessing is delivered. Some of y'all don't like to see it like that, but that's the truth. That's why you don't have people in your life to tell you the truth, because some folks don't know how. They can't even be real with themselves. So how you expect for them to be real with you? I'll wait. I will wait. Some folks can't even be real with themselves. So how are they going to be real with you? You ever ask yourself the question? How are you the realest one in your circle? Have you ever asked yourself the question? Why is it that everybody call you for your opinion and you can't ever call nobody for their opinion? Because you're the realest one in your circle? That's a problem. Have you ever sat around and asked yourself the question? Have you ever just sat around and been like, you know what? People call me all the time with their problems, and I give it to them raw, and I give it to them how they need it. But I can't never call nobody, and people don't sugarcoat it with me, because every time I ask them something, I always walk away with a question. That's how I knew I needed to cut some people off. But let me tell you something. Every time I made a phone call to get somebody's opinion, I walked away with more questions. Rather than the question that I walked in with needing an answer, I walked away with more questions. So now I'm even more confused about the situation. Come on now. That's how you know that you got people in your life that's not credible to your journey. Some of y'all got to really evaluate that, because it's time for you to wake up and smell the coffee. We too grown to be sitting around playing patty cake with grown folks. We did it in elementary school. This 2025, we're not doing it no more. This some of y'all and y'all friends. Y'all playing patty cake. Just like that. Y'all playing patty cake because you're not allowing yourself to live in the reality of stuff. I live in the real world now. So now I understand what the reality is. The reality is I can't be the only one on my team to give advice or keep things real with people. And I don't have that same energy around me. Because when I'm going to be in need of people trying of being real with me, I'm going to need that same energy. Because when I'm going through it, I shouldn't have to, call somebody and get their opinion. And I walk away with more questions than what I had before. So now I'm walking around confused. Now I'm walking around mad because I don't have the answer yet. Some of y'all got to understand, like, your mind go haywire when you in your thoughts and you trying to figure out the answer. I be trying to tell folks all the time. I used to be so mad because I couldn't control my emotions because I did not understand that I didn't have the right people in my corner. They weren't telling me anything. They were telling me what I wanted to hear because everybody wanted a piece of the pie when it came out the oven. Sometimes you got to realize that. You got to continue to put yourself around people that's going to keep it real with you and not condone your bad habits and behavior. When you understand that, you will understand that your whole circle might need to change. Because now, in order for you to elevate, you got to have people around you that reciprocate. Let me say that again for the folks in the back. In order for you to elevate, you got to have people around you that reciprocate. Some of y'all don't understand that that's the truth. What I tell y'all about the table the other day on a couple lives ago, I said, you know what's so crazy? When folks have a six chair table, some people feel like all of those seats need to be full, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're going to be in an area in your life where it's only one seat filled, and that's the seat that you're in. All the seats at the table don't need to be full every chapter of your life. Because when you get to the end of the chapter, that's when the seats are going to be full with the people that need to be there. Some of y'all got to understand that. If your seats are full, every time you turn around or every time you go to a new chapter of your life, you're not letting the people that's going to be credible to your journey to fill the seats. You're allowing people to stay there out of comfortability. And that's why you're always behind. Because you're comfortable with the time and the history that you have with these people. Sometimes it's okay for a seat at your table to be empty. When I realized that, I had a lot of stuff I needed to do. Because I was getting validations from those full seats at my table. That's where my validation came from. I was always looking for the validation. Quality over quantity in 2025. Quality over quantity in 2025. Some of y'all need to live by that. It ain't too late. We almost at the end of January, but it ain't too late. Some of y'all don't realize how fast time is moving. We already at the end of January in 2025. It felt like last night 2025 just started. I swear. I promise. I'm like, you know what? Is it me or is time moving very fast and it's not waiting on me? It ain't waiting on me. Time is not going to wait on you either. You got to get it together because the clock is still going to tick even when you stop. For sure. Quality over quantity. The less baggage you have, the less you'll be weighed down. So some of y'all got to understand the only reason that you're weighed down right now is because you got too much baggage. Let it go. Set yourself free. I'm just being real with you. Some of y'all be looking at me like I know y'all be mad, but listen. If ain't nobody gonna keep it real with you, I'm gonna keep it real with you. set yourself free in 2025. Let go of some of the baggage. Let go of all the questions that you're looking for answers for. And stop questioning who you are. And then you will understand that everything that you need will come to you and gravitate towards you like a magnet. And it'll stick this time. Because now you understand the assignment. Some of y'all don't even know what your assignment is, and that's the problem. Need some of y'all to get it together. You be so busy trying to help everybody else find their assignment, and you lose yours. Some of y'all have to understand how deep that is. You so busy trying to help everybody fulfill their assignment, and you're getting an F on yours because it's incomplete. Yeah. That's why we always fail in the test. Because we don't do the assignments. That's why we always fail in the test, because we don't do the assignments. Some of y'all got to understand it's just the truth. I was so busy trying to help everybody else live in their potential, find their potential, pass their test, and I was failing mine. Now I'm over here flunking, and I can't even graduate on time with everybody else because I'm behind. Now I got to go to summer school. Some of y'all in summer school right now. That's what 2025 is for you. You in summer school because you got to play catch up. Because you missed some of the assignments last year in 2024. So now you got to do it again. And you better pass it. Yeah. I'm talking to you. And you better pass it. You ain't passed it last year, but we going to make sure you pass it this year. Because you ain't getting left behind no more. You understand? So this is why I tell people all the time, like when I was behind, I had to play catch up. I had to go to summer school. Ooh, child, I know some of y'all can't stand me. I know y'all, I be sorry. I know y'all be mad at me, but you know, I love y'all. I do. I just be having to talk to y'all like my brothers and my sisters, because I need for y'all to get ready and I need for y'all to get prepared for 2025 and not be distracted. Because sometimes the distraction is way bigger. It's on a way bigger assignment. The distraction is. And I need for you to understand that you got to be willing to surpass those distractions. I told somebody the other day, I said, you know what? I don't even think I want to watch TV or watch the news in 2025 because I feel like I'm going to be distracted from something bigger. Something bigger is going to be going on. And sometimes when you hone in on certain things and certain topics, you miss some of the important things because you're distracted. Sometimes you have to really understand that, like, if you're not paying attention to the things that are important, it's because you're being distracted by things that seems to be bigger when they're really not. We got bigger issues going on in the world. We got bigger issues going on in our life than to be distracted by things that don't matter. Just saying. I'm just saying. So I need for y'all to focus. You didn't prolonged and you didn't sat around and procrastinated for a whole month. January 2025 is almost over with. You got one more week and that's it. You already done wasted enough time. You already done sat around and thought about it too long. It's time for you to bust that move. It's time for you to bust that move. It's time for you to make that move. Okay? Some of y'all don't understand that. That's the truth. I be trying to tell folks all the time, like, I'm in a space now where I understand the importance of what it means to be okay with where I am. But I know that I want more and I know I'm going to get it by all means necessary. And when you start to pour that into your life and you start to pour it into yourself, you're going to start to believe it. Not only are you going to start to believe it, but you're going to start to walk in it. And I need for you to learn how to be okay with the walk, because sometimes the walk might get lonely. Sometimes the walk might seem like it's long, but let me tell you something. Sometimes that walk is going to fulfill every need, every area, and fill every void, because now you are paying attention to the signs and you are doing what you have been assigned to do. So every day that you wake up and you get a chance at life, I want you to walk it like you talk it. And I need for you to actually walk in this space and in this season of your life and understand that only time that this journey stops is when you stop. You got to keep going even when you feel like you have nothing left on the inside of you. So that's why I tell people all the time, keep going. Keep going. Keep going. We're not doing no stopping. We're not making no unnecessary stops. Keep going. Applaud yourself. Be proud of yourself. Give yourself a couple pep talks. I don't care if you got to do it every day. Give yourself enough courage in order for you to understand I got to fully walk with grace. Because all of the grace that I've been giving to everybody else, I got to start giving it back to myself. Because some of us don't realize we don't give ourselves enough grace. Because you're so busy walking around with the thought of trauma, and you're not even allowing yourself to really be set free mentally, because you're so worried about being traumatized again. Sometimes you got to understand the only reason why it hurts so bad is because you're so busy trying to avoid the hurt instead of letting life happen the way that it should. The reason that it hurts you so bad is because you're always looking for the disappointment the way that it happened before. And sometimes when the disappointment hits you out of the normal than what you're used to, that's what hurts you so bad. Some of y'all be looking for things to happen the same way that it happened before. And sometimes, let me tell you something, when people are on an assignment to try to bring you down, sometimes people come in with a different blueprint, so it'll never be the same way. Which is why we're always in the spaces where we're always hurt or disappointed, because sometimes that's people's assignment, is to bring us down on the level that they're on. Some of y'all got to realize that, because that's the truth. You're not paying attention to the blueprint that they have presented to you. And you don't even realize that it's the same floor plan. It's the same floor plan, just on a different piece of paper. It's the same floor plan, just on a different piece of paper. It's the same stuff that you went through, but you're so blinded by the things and the people that don't matter, you can't even see the signs for what it is. You got to recognize a distraction before it starts to distract you. Sometimes distractions come in people. Yeah. When I realized that, I had to change a lot in my life, because I was so intrigued by people's outside instead of me actually looking on the inside. On the outside, it looked like it could fit all of my furniture, right? But when I walk inside, it's really small, has no square footage, nowhere near close to what I need, because I didn't walk on the inside. I was so intrigued by what was on the outside. And I end up making the wrong decision. I bought the wrong piece of property. Same thing y'all do with some people. You buy into the wrong people because the outside of them are intriguing and it look like it's enough to fulfill the needs of you, right? But when you actually get to know it from the inside out, you will understand what the assignment is. Some of y'all don't understand what I just said because you're so busy thinking about a house. I'm not even talking about a house. I'm talking about people. See how fast I just moved around you? You're distracted. You see how fast I just moved around you? You're distracted. You didn't even catch that. You sitting up here thinking I'm talking about real estate. I'm talking about people. Because you're so intrigued with how they look on the outside. Come on now. You're not even getting to know them on the inside, which is why you're failing. Some of y'all got to understand It just get real. And sometimes when you have the ability to think, you can start thinking quick on your feet. Some of y'all got to understand, you got to start thinking quick on your feet. You can't let nothing pass you in 2025. You got to get it. Okay? And so what that means is you got to listen before you speak and react. I don't know who need to hear this, but I'm specifically talking to you. You have to listen before you speak and react. Sometimes you got to give yourself time to think before you react or before you say anything. Some of y'all don't give yourself enough time to actually think and process. I told somebody the other day, I said, it takes me a little time to process things. So when people want to answer right then and there, I can't give you an answer right then and there because I got to think about this. I got to process this before I react or give you an answer. So some of y'all got to also start doing the same exact thing. Think before you process and speak. Sometimes you got to understand that part right there. I've been needing for some of y'all to wake up and really understand that you don't always have to react so rationally and so quickly. Sometimes it's okay for you to think it out. Sometimes it's okay for you to get your emotions together before you give an answer. You understand? So when I learned that and I mastered that, that's when I started to live in peace and walk in peace. Sometimes you got to understand peace is the lack of reaction, but the more of thinking. Let me say that again. Peace is the lack of reacting, but the more of thinking. Sometimes you got to understand that part. The reason why you don't live in peace is because you're so triggered, and it triggers you so much that every time something happens and you feel like somebody is coming for you, instead of you actually processing what they're saying or what they're trying to do, you react with your emotions. And instead of it actually clicking to you that this person was sent as a distraction because you're going somewhere higher than where you are now. That's why you have not really understood the assignment of those people in your life that's sent to distract you, to knock you off. Sometimes you got to understand that part right there. I need for you to wake up and understand that part. Some folks are sent as a distraction because of the places that you're going without them. And they want to stall you on your journey because they know for a fact they're going to be left behind. That's it. That's it. They already know they're going to get left behind. That's why they're so busy trying to distract you. You understand? You have something greater on the inside of you. You might not have all the money in the world right now. You might not have the finances. You might not have it. But let me tell you something. Your spirit better be intact. And in order for you to get it physically, you got to spiritually get there first. Sometimes you got to understand you can be a great person. You can be a rich and wealthy person. But spiritually, if you don't have it all together, you're going to lose it. That's one thing I had to understand. I'm so focused on being spiritually and wealthy and rich that I know for a fact that when I get the commas in my bank account, I'm going to be able to keep it. You understand? Because now I understand the assignment that's over my life. Everything I've gone through and everything I have overcame has been something to add a notch to my spirit. It added a comma to my spirit. So now we understand what it means to be spiritually rich. We don't always have to have it in our bank just yet. But we got to bask in the fact that we have it spiritually first. Because when we talk about being spiritually rich, we're talking about understanding that everything has to be in full alignment with us and our purpose and our favor. And understand the assignment of what it means to be chosen. So this is why it's important for y'all to not talk about just being the GOAT of your family. This is why it's important for y'all to not just talk about being the chosen one of your family. If you actually know that, then you're going to actually walk in that. We're not just talking about being chosen no more. We're not just talking about being the GOATs of our family no more. When are you going to do the work to bring in the generational wealth? We ain't just talking about it no more. It's time for you to move. Because just like it was assigned to you, It can be passed down and assigned to somebody else. Get to work. Get to work. Get to work. Some of y'all looking for the resources, but you already got the resources. That's what's so crazy. You looking for the resources, but you already have it. Because if you didn't have the resources, guess what? People that have demonic spirits wouldn't be trying to use you so much. Hello, somebody. Some of y'all got to understand that part right there. Hello, somebody. Some of y'all got to understand that part right there. If you have all the resources, then some people wouldn't attach themselves to you to use you so much. You have all the resources. Why do you feel like people are sent to distract you so much? If you can provide everybody everything that they need in their life, what make you think you can't provide everything that you need in your life? I'll wait. Hello? Yeah. If you can give it to everybody else, you can give it back to yourself too. Times 10. When you really healed, you can give it to yourself times 10. So what I need for you to do in 2025, we ain't gonna just talk about it. We gonna do. We have an assignment that's way bigger than us. And I'm talking to y'all, but I'm talking to myself too. The assignment is way bigger than us. So we got to get to work. We got to get to work. I know some of y'all like, where do I start from? Just start from somewhere. Take a risk. Take a chance. Some of y'all be so busy trying to focus on the failure, which is why you're so caught up in being behind and being comfortable. I'm in a space right now where I'm willing to take the risk. I'm going to take the risk. I'm going to do it. Because if I actually have the faith that I say that I have, then failing is not an option. I told you I took failure out of my vocabulary. I don't even like to mention it because that's not even something that's a part of my journey. Because now I understand that failure is only something that you're scared to do and you don't feel like you have the ability to do it. So what that means is sometimes you have to take yourself out of that box of thinking that you can't do anything that you set your mind to. You understand? I'm in a place of understanding. Everything that I touch turn into gold. I don't care if it's something that I accomplish, but I'm never going to fail at it. Sometimes it just don't be aligned with my purpose. That's it. It's not that you failed at it. Failing comes when you don't try or when you don't do, right? Now I understand. I was only failing at things that I did not try. So sometimes when you're in spaces and places where you're trying so hard to try to be in control, that's when you fail. You can't be in control of everything. I was telling myself the other day, I said, you know what? I didn't realize that I was so distracted. I was so distracted that the first thing that was attacked was my finances. You want to know why? Because I was so busy trying to keep the finances in my bank account and make sure that my livelihood was maintained. And I lost my relationship with God. I didn't realize that my finances became a distraction. And I lost my connection. Let me say that again. My finances became a distraction. And I lost my connection. So as soon as I lost my connection, right, and I was no longer connected, my finances got attacked. I was broke. I was barely making it. I barely had food to eat. Damn near homeless. But as soon as I got reconnected, that's when everything started to happen. That's when I started to progress. Because sometimes you don't realize that the things that we pour into more can also be used as a distraction because we're not even connected to him anymore. So sometimes you have to realize sometimes your money and your finances can be a distraction to your purpose. Some of y'all don't like to hear it, but that's the truth. Sometimes your bank account can be a distraction to your purpose. Sometimes your job can be a distraction to your purpose. You're so busy trying to pour into something that doesn't feed you spiritually. And that's why it's so hard and it's so draining. When I realized that part, I realized that a lot of stuff in my life had to change. Because now I understand. Now I get it. Now I understand. Now I get it. Now I'm in a season of my life where I'm okay with the fact that I can't focus on anything that he blesses me with or be distracted by everything that he blesses me with. Because now that I have the ability to walk in my faith and walk in my favor and walk in my purpose, I don't have a choice but to accept everything he brings to me. Because even though it might be outside of what I want for me, then it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with my purpose. So now we're here. So when people ask me questions about how I started, I just did it. I just took a risk and I did it. Some of y'all want to be motivational speakers so bad, but you don't know where to start. You just start somewhere. Some of y'all want your own podcast. You just start from somewhere. Some of y'all want your own business. You just start from somewhere. Don't worry about the customers. They're going to come. You just start. Sometimes you got to take the risk and understand you can't worry about how you're going to get the support because you're going to be provided for, you're going to be provided with everything that you need in order for you to fulfill the purpose that's over your life. Sometimes you got to just start from somewhere. Walk in the faith that you say you have every Sunday when you go to church. Walk in it. Walk in it. It's okay. You got to start somewhere. I be trying to tell folks all the time. I get a whole lot of people in my inbox asking me, Akira, can you give me some tips and pointers on how to do this and how to do this? I can't give you no tips and pointers on how to walk in your purpose. The only thing that I can encourage you to do is actually look at what it is that you want to do and understand that anything that's outside of your comfort zone is probably 9 times out of 10 attached to your purpose. A lot of y'all don't like to listen to that, but that's the truth. The reason why you're uncomfortable with doing certain things is because it's outside of your comfort zone. So when some of y'all talk about, I don't like people like that, but your purpose might be attached to other people. You never know. You might be on a platform just like me pouring into people, but you keep on talking about you don't like people. Yes, you do. You just trying to convince yourself that you don't like people because you're so busy trying to be hurt. And I'm reading some of y'all down right now because some of y'all be so scared to meet new people and do new things because you're scared of being hurt because of the trauma that you've already went through. You can't stop that. You can't control that. I'm sorry to break it to you, but you can't control traumatizing things that happen to you. It's going to happen regardless. Duh. It's going to happen regardless. You can't control that. I'm sorry to break it to you, but that's the truth. Some of y'all be so busy in your head trying to control, oh, I don't want to be hurt again, or I don't want to do this and fail, or I don't want to take up all of my time. And it's not your time. That's the problem. It's not your time. It's God's time. We just don't know how much time we have left. So utilize it to the best of your ability. I told y'all the other day, and a lot of people never looked at it like this, but I'm gonna say it again. The most richest place on earth is not a country, but it's the graveyard, because so many people die without actually doing things that they really want to do. And it's worth millions and billions of dollars, but so many people are scared to actually pursue it. Some of y'all got to understand, like, you don't need to be in a space in your life where you die with the idea that could work for you, but you're so scared and you don't want to try it because you're scared of failing. A lot of times that be the problem. So many people be scared to fail and they don't actually put their mind to doing something that they really have the desire to do. Understand that. It gets real. Sometimes you got to really understand that part. The reason why it's not working for you is because you have not tried it. Go back to school. Start the business. Do something. Utilize your time. I ain't gonna get on y'all too much today. Because I know I've been on you all day. Listen, I'm not gonna get on you too much, but I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you how it is. I need for some of y'all to wake up and smell the coffee, and I need for some of y'all to understand this. I need for some of y'all to wake up and smell the coffee, and I need for some of y'all to understand who you are. And I need for some of y'all to understand who you are. Okay? I need for some of y'all to really get it together, and I need for some of y'all to understand who you are. Okay? I need for some of y'all to really get it together, because some of y'all are losing it, and you're losing your mind because you're so busy trying to be in control of every little thing. Be for real with yourself. I be trying to tell people all the time, don't focus on the things that look good. Focus on the things that actually make you feel like it's outside of your comfort zone, because that's what you need to be putting your time into. Just saying. I love you and I'm going to keep it real with you. Focus on that part. And you'll realize that a lot of stuff about your life will start to make more sense when you take the risk. That's it. I love you. I know some of y'all probably want to choke me right now. You probably want to, but I'm telling y'all, it's about that time. It's about that time. It's about that time. Let's get it. Let's go. Listen, you had a whole month to sit around and think about it. You'd had a whole month. Listen, January is about over. You got one more week. February 1st, I need for you to get it done. I need for you to start researching now. We ain't gonna wait till February 1st. We're gonna start researching right now to start doing the stuff that we want to do and do the stuff that we need to do. If in order for you to be a better you before 2025 end, you got to get to work. Let's go. Stop always talking about how you broke and how you ain't got it. Listen, take that out of your vocabulary. Ain't nothing broke about you. I be trying to tell y'all all the time. Y'all need to stop entertaining people who always talk about they broke, because they're actually telling you to your face that they're broken. Okay? I be trying to tell folks all the time, I don't hang around people who always talk about I'm broke and I ain't got it. Listen, you telling me to my face that you're broken and you require me to fix you, and I'm not going to do it. Sometimes you got to listen to things that people say. Stop being so naive and start listening to what people be saying to you. I don't be having time I don't even entertain people that always, listen. If you broke, then how you going to help me? If you broke, how we going to help each other? If you broke, how you going to reciprocate energy that I give? I can't do nothing with you. I can't do nothing with you. Nothing at all. Like my friends, they know. Don't call me complaining. Call me when you're ready to find a solution. Call me when you're ready to find a solution to whatever it is you're dealing with. Let's find a solution to that problem. But if you walking around moping because you feel like something about your journey is not right, and you talk about how you're broke and how you ain't got this and then the third, I don't talk to broken people. I talk to people who are looking to be whole. That's why I go live. You want to know why? Because some folks will sit in here because they ready to do the work. I don't have time for people in my life that don't want to do the work. Some of y'all got to understand, the same way that I give it to y'all is the same way I can give it to people in my life. But they got to want it. Some folks that's in here that know me, they'll tell you. They be like, you know what? She ain't about to play with you because she ain't got time. She not gonna call you. She not gonna text you and ask you twice. If you ask her for her help, she gonna give you all the resources that she have. But it's up to you on how you gonna utilize those resources. So when folks ask me the question, let me tell y'all something. I got family members right now. They don't even know me in the element that I'm in with y'all. You wanna know why? Because they don't want to try to change. So I don't even have these type of conversations with them. The same way that I'm giving it to strangers that I don't even know from a can of paint, and the same way that I can give it to people that's in my life. But if they don't want it, then I'm not going to make them get it. You understand? So that's the same way with some of y'all. If they don't want it, then you can't make them get it. You got to stop sitting around asking yourself or questioning who you are, because you have people in your life who don't really accept you for who you are. So now you got to understand this part right here. If you're not accepted by people that surround you, it's time for you to change your company, because you'll never be understood by them. So if they don't understand you right now and you feel like you at your lowest, they damn sure not going to understand you at your highest. So sometimes you got to realize when it's time to actually separate from things and people that makes you comfortable, because that's what's keeping you stagnant, and that's what's keeping you in an idle space. Yes, I'm talking to you. Don't get quiet now. Don't get quiet now. I tell folks all the time, the only reason I am where I am, it's not because of people that was in my life. It was because people that I didn't know from a can of paint that came in and poured into me. Some of y'all got to understand that part right there. Some folks don't understand the importance of what it means to get love from a stranger and love from people that don't know you. Because sometimes that's what you need for your level up. I needed people that I didn't know. I needed people that didn't know me in order for me to be heard. Some of y'all got to understand that part. Sometimes it's going to take somebody to actually believe in you that you don't even know in order for you to level up in life. And you got to really understand that part. You got to level up, but you also got to understand that everybody in your life not going to fully accept you, because they never have. Your job from your family and generations on is for you to start the generational wealth. And in order for it to start, you got to be the one to start it. So what I had to understand was, if it was up to people that I came from or people that I was around, I wouldn't even be who I am. I had to start it. And when I started it, that's when God put the people in my life to help me pursue the purpose. Some of y'all got to understand that that's just the truth. You got to be willing to just start. And everything else that you need is going to come into your life with ease. You got to start from somewhere. You might start with nothing, but at least when you get done with it, you're going to have everything you need, because now you understand the assignment. I tell people all the time, like, I don't get, butterflies anymore when I get on live or when I talk in front of a room of people, because I know that me just starting, I'm going to get everything that I need, because he going to pour into me. You want to know why? Because now I'm walking in my purpose. I'm not worried about the validation or worrying about getting certain things from people. Now I know that it's going to be provided from God himself. Sometimes you got to understand that part. If you just looking for the resources before you actually start the assignment, then you're never going to be able to start it, because you're never going to have the resources until you actually start. So sometimes you got to understand that part. You got to start with nothing, but end with everything. You got to start with nothing, but end with everything. I don't know about you, but 2025 is going to be big. I don't know about you, but 2025, that's when we're going to bring in the generational wealth. 2025 is when we're going to break the generational curses. 2025 is when we're going to start to become millionaires. Sometimes you got to understand, you got to believe it in order for you to achieve it. And that's the truth. Manifesting start with your mind, not your mouth. Sometimes you got to understand, manifestation starts with your mind and not just your mouth. Because you can talk about it, but I need you to actually think that you're already there. Some of y'all don't understand that's how it happens. You got to think that you're already there. You got to move like you're already there. That mentality is everything. I be trying to tell people all the time, listen, my mentality took me here before I even was placed here physically. And that's why I can stay here and move in my purpose so fluently, because I didn't just talk about it. I thought about it first. Your mind has to be willing to be there before your body gets there. So sometimes you have to realize that that's just how life works. You got to own that mindset. Correct. Own that mindset. And then you will understand that you're going to start to take the required steps to get there more easier, because when you just talk about it and you leave your mind open, you're leaving your mind open for excuses to not do it. Let me say that again, because I think I lost some of y'all. When you just talk about it and your mind is empty, you leave your mindset open for excuses. That's why you got to think it first and speak it after. Because if not, your mind is going to be tainted with excuses as to why you can't do it. Let's go. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. Your mind first. Speak it after. Let's go. That's all I got for y'all today. That's it. That's all I got for you. Let's get to work. I'm gonna let y'all get to 100K, then we done. Whew. Then we done. That's it. That's all I needed y'all to hear today. That's it. Each and every one of y'all that was in this room today, you got something. I'm telling you, because I got something. And I feel a whole lot lighter today. I feel like 100 pounds has been lifted off of me because I needed to get that out. Let me tell you something. When you need to get something out of your spirit and you got to deliver a message and you got to give something after you have given it, now it feels like 100 pounds has been lifted up off of you, because that's what you were assigned to do. That was a whole point of you doing everything that you needed in order for you to be where you are. So let's go. We got work to do. Let's get it. We ain't got time to be sitting around talking about it. We got to think about it and then talk about it. Because if our mind is there, then it won't be no room for no excuses to fit in there. Because now our mind is full of things that we got to accomplish in places that we got to go. We not going to have no space for no negative thoughts. We're not going to have no space for none of that. Because now we understand that we got to think it before we speak it. That's it. That's it. That's all. That's it. That's all. You got to think it before you speak it. Because our mind, listen, your mind is a powerful thing. And if you allow your mind to be tainted by excuses and negative thoughts, then you ain't going nowhere. You're going to be sitting in the same spot, trying to figure out how you going to make it, trying to figure out how you going to pay your rent, trying to figure out what you going to eat today, trying to figure out how you going to eat today, trying to figure out how you going to get some gas money, trying to figure, shall I keep going? No, I'm not going to keep going, because you already know what I'm saying. You know exactly what I'm saying, and you know what I mean. Think it before you speak it, because your mind can be a powerful thing when it's full of negative thoughts. That's why we're not able to accomplish anything that we have a vision for. Because your mind is so tainted by excuses, you're not even allowing yourself to clear your mind first. And then you start something new, so you don't have room for excuses, because excuses put fear over whatever it is that you're trying to do. When you make excuses You always talk about how you can't do it because you got all of this other stuff that you got to do. Well, I know I can't get a new job because I got to do this, or I can't put the kids in a new school because I got to do this, or I can't go to school because I got to do this, or I can't start a business because I ain't got time for this, or I ain't got time to do, I ain't. Okay, but you got all the time in the world to be there for everybody else. That's so crazy. Okay, that's crazy. Okay, all right, come on now. I ain't gonna say nothing else. I done stepped on too many toes today. I ain't trying to break y'all toes, but I'm telling you, I know I done stepped on a couple, but I love you, okay? And I'm gonna keep it real with you. I ain't, I'm just keep it real with you. Sometimes you gotta understand the message be for the messenger first. So just like I was feeding it to y'all, I think my spirit and got full just because I know I was feeding it back to myself. Cause the same way I pour it out, I pour it right back in. Because everything that I spoke about on this live today was everything that I needed to hear. So when people ask me why I don't stick to the topic or why I don't talk about topics, that's why. I don't talk about topics because sometimes you got to know when God wants you to say something out loud for your spirit too. Some of y'all don't understand. You be shocked when you actually have people that come around you and you actually tell them something, but it's also something that you need to hear. Because life is not scripted. And when you realize that life is not a script, then you'll realize that the best thing that you can ever do is try to stop living on a script because it's never going to work. Your chosenness is not going to be used when you want it to be used. That's it. When you realize that, you realize that a lot of times you have stopped yourself from actually living unscripted because you have always allowed yourself to be stuck on a script. That's it. I don't live on scripts no more. I let things happen. As long as my mentality is not negative or all my first mind is always something bad is going to happen, I don't live on the script, but I do live for my discernment. And sometimes you got to understand your body and your spirit is going to say everything that it needs to say. And it's going to direct you because your spirit is your GPS to this thing that we call life. You have never been directed wrong. The only time your GPS says something is when you're going the wrong way. That's the only time your GPS speak, or when your exit is coming up. But usually your GPS is going to tell you when it's time for you to turn around or make a U-turn. I be getting so irritated because I be like, why is my GPS telling me I need to make a U-turn when I know I just made a detour? And it keep on telling me to go the other way, make a U-turn, turn left. I get tired of it talking, but that's just it telling me that I'm going the wrong way. Some of y'all don't listen to your discernment, and that's why you're always off track. And you get irritated when it's trying to redirect you, but sometimes all it takes is for you to listen to your GPS, and that's when it's going to shut up. Yeah. Have you ever noticed that when you put your GPS on and you try to go a route that you know, but it's telling you to go the other way and it's telling you to make a U-turn and you're not making a U-turn because you feel like the best way is the way that you know. And then when you run into the traffic because it was trying to redirect you, you don't even realize that the reason that it was trying to redirect you was because it was a wreck on the route that you were going on, and it was trying to take you away from it. And some of y'all don't listen because you're so busy trying to be in control of the route. That's why you got to sit in traffic now. That's why you got to sit in traffic now. It was trying to redirect you from the traffic jam. But the whole time since you thought you knew what was best, now you stuck in traffic. So when we talk about listening to your GPS, we talk about your spirit. Because your spirit ain't never led you wrong, but your flesh has. Yikes. Your spirit has never led you wrong, but your flesh has. All right. I ain't gonna say nothing else. Think y'all heard me loud and clear when I said that. You don't realize that your GPS is trying to redirect you from traffic. But some of y'all think you know the best way, and you're trying to get there quicker. You really have prolonged your journey now because you're not listening to your GPS. When I realized that I wasn't listening to my GPS, I had to learn that I didn't know what was best all the time. Because every time it was taking me on a reroute, I didn't realize that I was constantly allowing myself or making myself sit in traffic and prolonging my journey to finding my purpose. So here we are sitting in traffic, but my GPS was redirecting me. So now my trip has been prolonged, and now I'm sitting in traffic at a standstill. Sometimes you have to understand that's just the case. When you're sitting in traffic at a standstill, you can't blame nobody but yourself because your discernment told you to go the other way. But here you are thinking you know what's best because you allowed your flesh to lead you rather than your spirit. So here we are again in a traffic jam. Sometimes you have to understand that the reason that you're stuck in traffic is because you feel like you know what's best for you, when really and truly you don't. Because if you know what's best, then you wouldn't always run into traffic all the time. So when you ask the question, why my route is being prolonged constantly, it's because you're allowing yourself to listen to your flesh over your spirit. Sometimes you got to allow your spirit to override your flesh. Because in this season of your life, you can't afford to be rerouted again. 2024 took up a lot of time because you were sitting in traffic too long. 2025 is the year that you gonna take the route that you need to take. Sometimes you gotta listen to that. And sometimes you gotta think clearly because you have to understand. Your discernment and your spirit gonna speak to you first before anything else does. That's where I'm at. My spirit is always going to override my flesh. Because when I was making fleshly decisions, I was put into a place of uncertainty. Some of y'all don't understand that. Anytime you allow your flesh to lead you, you always are being led to a dead end or a traffic jam. And now that has prolonged your journey when you were supposed to have been there a long time ago. Some of y'all don't even understand it, but it's the truth. When you start giving folks the benefit of the doubt, when you start falling in love with people's potential, when you start helping folks that don't help you, when you start giving things to people that don't reciprocate energy, that's why you're always in a traffic jam. Because you were already giving the route before you turned the corner. So sometimes you have to understand, when you get the directions, follow the GPS, because it's never going to steer you wrong. When I was being rerouted, it was because I felt so bad for people. And I wanted to see them win so bad. But everybody that I wanted to see win didn't want to see me win. So now I'm over here drained because I have rerouted myself to go and help them. But now I have prolonged where I'm supposed to be. That's it. That's all I got for you. I love you. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming in and tapping the screen. And I thank y'all for coming and sitting in the room, because some of y'all don't understand. This was the first step of you actually being a better you. Is you actually sitting still and listening. Sometimes you got to realize that the first step to your healing and the first step of you finding your purpose is you actually sitting still and listening to a voice that's outside of your own. That's it. That's it. So give yourself a round of applause for taking the first step. Validate yourself, celebrate yourself, all right? For taking the first step today. Because each and every one of y'all that sat still and listened, some of y'all just had a light bulb moment, and I'm happy for you. Oh, I'm happy for you. You just had a light bulb moment. This whole time that we've been on this live, some of y'all done probably shed some tears. You probably done got a whole light bulb moment, because now it has triggered something on the inside of you, and now you want more. And that's what I wanted you to do. I wanted to end this live of you wanting more for yourself. So give yourself a round of applause. Give yourself a pat on the back, because this is only the beginning. Some of y'all got to understand, you don't always have to spend your money to get everything you need. You got some content creators who are so greedy that they will have you walking away with questions, more questions than what you had before you came. And a lot of folks don't understand. Those are the wolves in sheep clothing. You ain't got to pay for nothing if it's authentic. Some of y'all got to understand that. When people are walking in their authenticity, they're not going to always have their hand out. Sometimes people have their hand out because they're living on a script. They have to make sure they plan out everything just so it sounds good to people that they know that are in need. Sometimes you got to realize that. Every life coach, every content creator are not out for the needs of you. They're out for the needs of themselves. So sometimes you got to understand that. And I think that some of y'all have really done the work to identify when something is not authentic and when something is not real. I'm going to tell you the truth. There's been a lot of people I done seen that ain't authentic. A lot of people. A lot of people. That's it. That's all. Anybody got questions for me? Anybody got questions for me before I end my live? Open. The floor is open. If you want to ask questions, I'll give you 5 minutes. We can talk about it. But if you want to leave, we're going to leave the platform how it is. And we're going to let today's message be a reflector of how this thing is about to get ready to go. We good? Y'all good? Y'all need anything from me? Y'all know where to inbox me at. Inbox me on Instagram. Do not inbox me on TikTok, because I don't get all of my inboxes on TikTok for some reason. How do you break a trauma bond? Well, the first step is, first of all, identifying. So you identify that it was a trauma bond, but you have to learn how to stop entertaining the trauma bond. And what that means is sometimes you have to realize You have to realize that the trauma bond is only staying alive because you keep feeding it energy. So a lot of times you have to realize the only reason that it's not broken is because you're still feeding it. So when you actually break the feeding, and you break the connection yourself, and you'll realize that a lot of times, like I told y'all on the last live, you got to break the cycle before it breaks you. And how you do that is you have to learn how to be okay with the simple fact that it's not going to give you what you need, and it's not a benefit to you. Usually when we're tied to a trauma bond, is because we're trying our best to get people to reciprocate energy that we give, and they don't. When I realized that I was feeding energy into trauma bonds by trying to get people to love me the way I love them, I had to break my own heart, and I had to walk away on my own. Because if I wouldn't have broken the bond, then I would have still been in situations or still been in cycles where I'm not fully who I need to be, because I'm allowing this person to keep me in a space of being a person that they need me to be for them. You get what I'm saying? That's why it's important for you to break that trauma bond. That's why it's important for you to identify when it's a trauma bond, because you got to start the process before it gets too deep. Sometimes we keep ourselves in places because we be so busy not trying to be disappointed, but the disappointment is you actually staying there longer. That's why it's important for you to understand, like, it's not going to be easy. It's easier said than done. That's true. But you got to realize that time and history only gets you in a place of uncertainty when it comes down to who you are. Time and history means nothing. So when we talk about, oh, this person been in my life for years, or they done did this, and that don't mean nothing. Years in history don't mean nothing, but loyalty and true love means everything. And if they're not reciprocating the energy that you give, or giving you the love that you give, then it's no need for them to be attached to you, baby. That's it. I just want to say thank God that I came on your TikTok, and thanks for sharing, and may God continue to bless you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you so much. What is your name on Instagram? All of my platforms are the same. So Akira Rajane, I am Akira Rajane. The same way that it's spelled here on Instagram is the same way that it's spelled. But if you go to my bio, you'll see that it's my TikTok emblem is right there, and just click it and it'll take you directly to my Instagram. All right. Turn your notifications on. So that's it, y'all. So I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much for stopping by. It has been such a great live, and I hope everybody has gotten something from me as I have gotten something from y'all. And I just want to say congratulations to making it to the end of the week. Be proud of yourself. Congratulate yourself, and always remember to love yourself. And if ain't nobody told you this week that they're proud of you, I'm proud of you. If ain't nobody told you this week that they love you, I love you. All right? So listen, that's it. That's all. And we'll see you guys tomorrow sometime. Make sure that you have your notifications on. And make sure that you always remember that if you're trying to get in touch with me, hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, not TikTok. All right? Thank you. Bye. That's wrong, Vic. Bye, guys.